The classroom was silent except for the sound of chalk scratching across the board. A dozen restless students stared at the clock, counting the minutes until freedom. But one young boy, Marcus Williams, sat at the back of the room with his hand raised, his eyes burning with something bigger than childish daydreams. He wasn't asking for extra recess or a hall pass. He wanted to share his dream. "Miss Thompson," he said, his voice carrying a mixture of hope and excitement. "One day I'm going to be a pilot. I'll fly planes across the world, and people will look up and say, 'That's Marcus flying above the clouds.'" For a split second, the classroom froze. Some kids smirked, others chuckled under their breath. But it was the teacher's reaction that stung the most. Miss Thompson laughed. Not a gentle laugh, but the kind of laugh that cuts. "Marcus, sweetheart," she said mockingly, "boys like you don't become pilots. Be realistic. Maybe try something simpler." The class erupted in laughter. Marcus felt his chest tighten. His dream, the one that gave him courage to wake up every morning, had just been crushed by the very person who was supposed to inspire him. What no one in that classroom knew, not even Miss Thompson, was that Marcus carried his mother's words like a shield. "Baby, don't you ever let anyone tell you what you can't be. If you can see it, you can achieve it." That day, while his classmates laughed, Marcus made a silent promise. "One day, I'll prove her wrong." And 20 years later, destiny handed him the chance to do exactly that. Marcus grew up in a small, struggling neighborhood where opportunities were rare, and dreams often faded into survival. His mother worked 2 jobs, nurse by day, diner waitress by night, while his father had left when Marcus was just 5. Yet despite the odds, his mother's resilience became his fuel. Every night after finishing homework on the cracked kitchen table, Marcus would stare at the sky from his bedroom window. Planes flew overhead, their blinking lights cutting through the darkness. He didn't see just machines, he saw freedom. To him, the cockpit wasn't a seat. It was a throne. But chasing that throne wasn't easy. His middle school teachers told him aviation required expensive training, something your family can't afford. His high school counselor suggested he stick to trades because becoming a pilot wasn't realistic. And always, there was that echo of Miss Thompson's laugh haunting him. Yet Marcus refused to give in. He worked harder than anyone else. While other kids wasted time on video games, Marcus buried himself in science, textbooks and aviation, manuals he borrowed from the library. He joined the Civil Air Patrol as a teenager, walking miles just to attend training. On weekends, he cleaned cars and cut grass to save for flying lessons. When he finally scraped together enough for his first session, stepping into a small Cessna 172 felt like entering a new universe. The moment the wheels lifted off the runway, Marcus's soul soared higher than the aircraft itself. For the first time, the laughter of his teacher didn't matter. He was in the sky, and he belonged there. College was another mountain. Scholarships only covered part of the cost, and Marcus had to juggle 2 part-time jobs just to afford tuition. He worked nights at the airport loading baggage, often staring longingly at pilots in crisp uniforms walking past him. But he never let bitterness grow. Instead, he absorbed everything, watching, listening, asking questions whenever a kind pilot spared him a moment. His work ethic caught the attention of a retired captain who became his mentor. That mentor once told him, "The cockpit doesn't care about your skin, Marcus. It cares about your skill and discipline. Remember that." Those words became his compass. By his late 20s, Marcus finally earned his wings. When he slid on his pilot's uniform for the first time, standing tall in the mirror, he whispered to himself, "This is just the beginning." But life wasn't about to hand Marcus an easy flight path. Even as a certified pilot, he faced obstacles. Airlines that promised opportunities turned him away without explanation. Some passengers looked at him suspiciously, as if a black pilot couldn't possibly be competent. On more than one occasion, colleagues made backhanded comments like, "Didn't expect to see someone like you in the cockpit." Every word felt like another echo of Miss Thompson's mockery, but instead of breaking him, it sharpened him. Marcus doubled down on preparation, discipline, and professionalism. His performance spoke louder than prejudice. Slowly, his reputation grew. Years passed. He logged thousands of hours, moved up from regional flights to major carriers, and eventually earned the title of captain. He had achieved what once seemed impossible, commanding respect in one of the toughest professions on earth. And then fate played its hand. It was a bright morning when Marcus walked into the airport, adjusting his captain's stripes with pride. His flight assignment was routine, a commercial trip from Chicago to New York. Nothing unusual. until he saw the passenger manifest. There it was, row 14, seat C, Thompson Eleanor. The name stopped him cold. It couldn't be, could it? When boarding began, Marcus caught sight of her. Gray hair, glasses, and the same pursed lips that once sneered at his dream. Miss Thompson. Older now, but unmistakable. She shuffled onto the plane without recognizing him. To her, he was just another uniformed pilot. Marcus felt a storm inside. Part of him wanted to confront her immediately. Part of him wanted to let his success speak silently. But as the engines roared to life and the plane lifted off, he realized destiny had written a script too perfect to ignore. He was about to give Miss Thompson the lesson of her life. Halfway through the flight, Marcus made his decision. He switched on the intercom, his voice steady and professional. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. Our cruising altitude today is 35,000 feet, and we're making excellent time to New York. But before I continue, I'd like to share something personal. The passengers perked up, curious. Flight attendants exchanged puzzled glances. Marcus continued. 20 years ago, I was a young boy sitting in the back of a classroom. I told my teacher I wanted to be a pilot. Instead of encouragement, I was mocked. Told that kids like me should be realistic. That laughter stayed with me. It nearly crushed me, but it also fueled me. Today, as I fly this plane, I want every dreamer out there to know, don't you ever let anyone limit what you can achieve. The cabin fell silent. Some passengers nodded, others clapped softly. In row 14, Miss Thompson's face drained of color. She froze, her eyes widening as she pieced it together. Marcus Williams, the boy she ridiculed, was now the man flying the aircraft she trusted her life to. As Marcus stepped out of the cockpit after landing, passengers greeted him with admiration. Children asked for photos. Adults shook his hand. But it was the stunned look on Miss Thompson's face that mattered most. She approached him slowly, voice trembling. Marcus, is it really you? He looked her in the eyes, calm and composed. Yes, Miss Thompson. And I became exactly what you said I couldn't. The terminal buzzed with travelers rushing to their gates, but for Marcus, the world slowed as he stood face to face with the woman who once crushed his dream. Miss Thompson's lips quivered. I didn't mean to hurt you back then. I thought I was being practical. I didn't believe... Marcus interrupted gently but firmly. You didn't believe in me. And that's okay, because I believed in myself. Tears welled in her eyes. Passengers walking by paused, sensing the weight of the moment. Miss Thompson whispered, I'm sorry. Marcus, truly, you've become extraordinary. Marcus gave a faint smile, not out of spite, but out of triumph. What matters isn't your apology, Miss Thompson. What matters is the message this moment carries. Never underestimate a child's dream, because one day that dream might be carrying you safely across the sky. For a moment, she lowered her head, humbled. The same authority she once wielded over a vulnerable child had vanished. Now she stood before a man who had turned pain into power. As Marcus walked away, children waved at him, wide-eyed and inspired. Parents pointed, whispering, That's Captain Williams. Did you hear his story? His life had come full circle, not just proving his worth to one teacher, but proving to the world that barriers could be broken. Later that night, sitting alone in his hotel room, Marcus looked out the window at the skyline. Another plane soared overhead. He whispered the same words his mother once told him. If you can see it, you can achieve it. And deep down he knew that his journey wasn't just his own. It belonged to every child who had ever been told no, every dreamer who had ever been laughed at. His story was proof that the sky wasn't the limit. It was just the beginning. That day, Miss Thompson learned a lesson far more valuable than any she had ever taught. Never judge a dream by the color of the dreamer. What about you? If someone once laughed at your dream, would you give up? Or would you rise above the clouds to prove them wrong?